All right, window replacement today. All right, there's several different ways that you can go about replacing windows. One is to take the entirety of the structure, trim, windows, jambs, sill plate, everything, and tear it all out of the house and be left with a raw opening again and go back with an entirely new frame and new window units to put back in. I'm not going that route. I'm going with an after apply remodel style of window. So what's going to happen here, I'm going to leave all the trim and everything that goes around the outside, the center trim section here, as well as behind the actual sash of the windows, the guides for the old window sashes to move up and down. There's a window jamb back here behind this. That's all going to stay. So all that's going to get removed is the storm window on the outside, the upper and inner sash. Then it's going to leave the jamb that's behind here. This front molding trim is going to stay there because that's our actual guideline for where the new window is going to line up. And then of course the bottom sill trim is going to stay. So everything on the inside here, frame wise, is going to stay put. The only real appearance change is going to be that there's a new window in that opening. Okay, step one, I got to remove this solar screen that I put on the outside of the window. Alright, so that's the solar frame removed that I put on there, solar screen. So now the next step is to remove the storm windows, and that's a bunch of these small stainless screws here that run around the outside. Okay, so I've got the coverings off the windows. Now the next stage is to actually remove the old window sashes. So the windows are held in place and held in track with these sash guides. That's actually, you can't really see it, but it's actually an aluminum track that's set inside there. And both of these window elements are designed to move up and down. However, as is the case with many of these old windows, over time wooden windows start to leak. So the previous homeowner's solution to this when they sold the house was to have a painter go around and caulk up every window so that none of them move. So now I got to go back through. I'll cut all of the caulk loose so that I can get these sashes to move, and then I can remove the sash guides. The one thing that's going to prevent that is on the outside of this, when this whole window jamb was installed into the house, there's one piece of trim that sits over the top that acts as the outer sash barrier, right? It doesn't let this outer sash stop. It doesn't let it fall out of the window. So I'll come in here and I'll actually cut this because I'm leaving all the trim and the frame in place. So I'll use a oscillating tool to come in here and start the cut, and then I'll probably finish it off with a Sawzall, come up and stay really, really close and tight into the frame or the trim piece here where I'm going to put the new window. And once this outer trim is removed on both sides, then I can actually pull the window sashes out. All right, so gotten ourselves here to a stage where the windows are starting to come out. You can see here where I've cut that piece of trim back so it's flush with the jamb behind this aluminum track for the sash. Up here you can see coming out of the side of the window sash here, you can see there's a spring. This is actually a little plastic sleeve that protects the spring on the inside. And it is put in with, it's attached with a screw. So this is for the outer sash, that's for the inner sash. So this is not a normal fine threaded screw or wood threaded screw. The threads are very, very shallow on this. So oftentimes you can just get a pry bar in there and just pull them. But there is spun tension that's on this spring. So as you pop that out, there's usually some spinning action of the spring releasing as it goes. And it usually shatters this little plastic sleeve and the pieces go everywhere. So I'm going to try and keep this sash up as high as I can while I pry that out to keep all the pieces from flying everywhere. That was a smidge anticlimactic that time. Alright, so I have the outer sash out, the upper sash is out. Okay? So now it's a repetition of the process. So I'm going to pull that screw, well, scrael, I guess, kind of thing, and pull it on this side also. You can see this thing just disintegrates, it falls apart, which is why you got to be careful as you're pulling that apart, because then those little pieces fly everywhere. Right? Then as this one comes out, once I get the tension off of these springs here, this entire frame track piece should be able to come out along with this sash as it goes out. Now we have all the window, the old sash, and the old sash track all removed. And you can see here where I cut the outer holding trim out of place. And there's a couple of places here where it's just not quite flush with the inside, so we'll take a sander to that and smooth that out so the new window slides in very, very easily. You can see, just a few places here where I need to trim it back up a little bit more. So we'll get that flushed up so that this outer trim is flush with the inside jamb, and that's the dimension that will fit the new remodel window that's going in. Also, you'll notice here at the top, this old existing trim that was there before, I did not cut it off. I didn't trim it away. The reason for that being is that this depth dimension here is the same on the new retrofit window as it was on the old one. In fact, I believe it's within 1/8 of an inch back here. So what's going to happen is as I set the new window, because it's an entire built unit in, it'll slide in this way, and then I can kick the bottom in, and this will actually act as a retainer board to prevent the top of the window from falling out while I'm installing it. And then once the window's actually installed, this will sit flush with the outer border or outer frame of the new window that's in. The window kind of temporarily set in place. Now, what I've got to do is inside each one of these openings. It's kind of difficult to see, but inside there is a set screw, which actually moves an adjustable foot on the other side of the window frame. There's 3 of them on each side. There's the lower one over here. There's 2 more up there. And this allows me to adjust the new remodel window and get it perfectly centered in the opening and make sure that both of these sides are perfectly plumb and level so the window will operate correctly. All right, so there's those windows in. They're not entirely finished yet, and I've got to run my sealants and everything around the edges to finish those off. So that's one method of putting windows in. We use that when you don't have access to the inside of the window frame. Right? So let me show you on the next set what this one's going to be. So in this particular window, this is how I'll be doing the rest of them, simply because this system doesn't require you to do any cutting of your trim on the outside of the house, and it's a little bit easier to go about. So here on the inside of the window sash, there's a piece of trim. Some people also call this the blind stop on the inside of your window sashes. This is the inner part of the frame, which also helps act as a guide for that inner sash to move up and down. So you simply remove this, and that's what actually sits up against I've already taken this one out on this side. So this comes out here, and now I'm left with the exposed actual aluminum sash track and the sash itself. From here, I can now remove the sashes on the inside of the house, and I don't have to cut any of that trim on the outside. So we've got all the old window sashes, and the guide rails and everything are out. We have a clean sill. We've got the inner frame that remains here, and we're still left with these stops here on the outside of the window. So as we set the new window in, the new window will just set up against that stop and hold itself in position.